Hello and welcome to GuySuCo Roundup. I'm GuySuCo. To maximize on opportunities for future development, managers' knowledge is increased and techniques improved to sustain the corporation's drive towards future development. Residents of Rose Hall and its environs participated in a community meeting aimed at creating an understanding of the roles of communities in improving attendance on the estates for the second crop. This week's program highlights these activities. Do stay tuned.
Do you live in the West Demerara area and are looking for employment? Well, the iFlat Estate Improvement Program presents just the right opportunity for you. The estate is in the process of increasing its production from 20,000 to 40,000 tons of sugar and has 406 vacancies in the agriculture department. The estate has vacancies for 298 cane harvesters, 48 planters, 15 chemical weed control hands, 12 rangers, 7 harvesting support hands, 6 field inspection or agronomy hands, 6 pest control hands, 5 shovelmen, 5 fertilizer hands, and 4 cane transport operators. iFlat Estate is the largest business in West Demerara, so come and be part of our massive improvement program. Contact the Human Resources Department of iFlat Estate, iFlat West Coast Demerara on telephone numbers 277-3114-7.
I am Peter Buru, champion for Elmore Estate 2015. GuySuCo is we own. We have to work for what we want. If we do not work, we cannot achieve. Everyone must come together to change GuySuCo into a strong business. Join me as I put GuySuCo first.
Welcome back. Under the theme Leading in a Changing Environment, a 3-day workshop from July 20 through 22 exposed estate and corporate managers to the realities of the local and international business environment in which a corporation exists, stimulating them to action in driving the change process.
Mr. Chairman, Chief Executive, colleague directors, and managers and presenters, welcome to this environment for leading change. That in fact, not only have we been touting, but indeed preparing for the past year or more to develop a new corporate structure, organized to utilize our strengths, not only to combat extant weaknesses, but more critically, to seize opportunities for developing our leadership skills in order to overcome future challenges, predictable and unpredictable, so that it was no longer a case of business as usual. Rather, we are about to embark not merely in changing the structure and nature of an industry, but more fundamentally, to undertake a historic transformation of the nature and structure of the economic, social, and even psychological landscape across a considerable portion of this country. It therefore behooves us to set a new model of high standards of behavior that will generate a platform of trust between future partners of whatever ilk, of high standards of professionalism that would ensure success of projects to be undertaken, and a commitment to a leadership style that would ensure that the journey we have begun would be sustained to achieve the realization of our new vision.
Today will mark the beginning of a resurgence of relevant training in GuySuCo, and that this activity will become institutionalized as we go forward. it would be remiss of me if I do not express my sincere thanks to Earl and his team for making this event a reality. Great work, Earl. I think we all know what we've been going through, what we've been trying, the sort of challenges we've had to come to grips with, try to overcome over the past 2 years. And actually this journey started 2 years ago. And I propose presenting what I have to say in 2 stages. Number 1, my reflections, looking at the past 2 years. And the second part of my presentation is simply titled, Make It Happen. This mindset, make it happen, underpins all that I have to say this morning. And if I have to give you a charge, the charge is make it happen. You know, we have an end game, what we're working towards. And we have the journey getting there. We have the hills that we have to climb. And we got to make sure we climb the right hills. With the KMW, we need to know where we came from. We need to know and understand how we got to where we are. Now, this journey is not only about the business, but even more importantly, it's about the people, the drivers, the movers and shakers, you. In a way, the more I think of it, given our large population in Shiga and our large team of executives, I think what we're trying to do is almost akin to nation building. Because we need a new Guyanese. We need a new set of personal and professional values. We need a new work ethic. It is very important that we learn and develop our ability to think strategically. It is my sincere hope that in 2017 we will see GuySuCo repositioning itself to resume its role as a positive contributor to the national economy in general and to the agriculture sector in particular. Equally important, it is my sincere hope that 2017 will herald the beginning of a phase when the sugar worker, when the sugar employee is liberated, when he becomes his own boss. Now we need to return to the status of being a science-based business. And we need to make sure that we are market-driven, because that is what our future is going to be largely influenced by the market, the sugar market, the business, the commodity, the product market that we're going to get into. Now, with the KMW, now to achieve the end game, choose the correct path, climb the right hills, because you can climb the wrong hills too and get nowhere. We must ensure that we understand how we got here. We must understand our role individually and collectively in we getting where we've gotten to. Now, this may be easier said than done in relation to the past. But in going forward, we must be circumspect and assertive at the same time. Circumspect and assertive at the same time about our professional role and contribution. The world is changing rapidly. There's incredibly greater transparency and accountability. So, the end game, a resilient business engaged in profitable activities, both sugar and non-sugar, supported by a proactive, energetic, and dynamic team with a motivated workforce with all stakeholders on board. Your renewal process begins now. Go for it. Make it happen. I'm confident that you can do it. Thank you.
The task that I was given is to speak on a topic which embraces three elements. One is that I have to talk about the multi-cropping system. And then I have to talk about the challenges of to global business, which is what GuySuCo is and will remain. And then I have to speak to the theme of the conference, which is change management. So this means ultimately, by the application of brainpower, we have the ability to initiate, to look and make changes, to search for changes, the ability to plan so that we don't just come here and have a seminar with everybody sitting down. We plan it and we see where we're going with these seminars. The ability to execute it by making sure that we get people coming here at the right time and with the right quality, and we get a general participation into all we do. And just as importantly, the ability to monitor these things. So we can say at the end of the process, do we feel that we've made a change? We do some survey, we do something to evaluate from you whether what we've been trying to do made sense. And if it didn't, try to see where we failed and how we can make it better. That tradition can be recaptured if you can make the organization an organization that distinguishes itself by its quality. Not an organization that is rending itself apart by internal struggles and struggles among diverse stakeholders. And this means that we have to have a continuous desire for change.
In this sobering period of the corporation and its business of sugar, information on the future direction and opportunities being created is shared with employees and residents of estate communities. On July 18, the residents of communities in the vicinity of Rosehall Estate benefited from the corporation-initiated conversations. These conversations give estate communities opportunities to hear the corporation's plans, express their views, and commit to actively mobilizing cane harvesters, planters, and cane transport operators, their families and communities around the importance of improving attendance at Rosehall Estate for the second crop 2017.
We will start on our crop pretty soon, and Rosehall Estate at this point in time is slated for steam trials on Thursday 20th, another 2 days from now. So far, I see no reason why we can't achieve our steam trials. Now, this is our biggest concern, our attendance for harvesters. In Forest Crop 2017, our enrolled number was 918 workers, and our attendance was 587. And we had an average of 64%. Now, ladies and gentlemen, 64% is nothing to jump about. As I said, we employ 918 workers. We expect to have our 918 workers or 100%. But we know all 5 of our fingers aren't equal, so someday, yes, some people may feel ill or whatever and they don't come to work. But it should not be as low as 64%. Our numbers are built on this. Our achievements are built on this. Our targets are set based on this. But when you have this situation occurring, you can understand why it is we face this issue. When it is that we don't have the labor, when it is that we don't have the workers turning to work, we can't supply our markets. And if we can't supply our markets, we can't earn. Right? The company can't give in revenue. And I dare say, that is the reason why we are where we are today. Not for Rosehall Estate alone. It's not, mind you, it's not a Rosehall Estate thing. Our general mentioned it's a GuySuCo issue. Right? So it's not only Rosehall Estate has attendance problem right across the industry. Right? So we have to ensure that come second crop 2017, if we're serious about the sugar industry, if we're serious about Rosehall Estate, let's start with our numbers. Let's achieve the 20,000 tons of sugar that we say we have in the ground. Let us remind the country that Rosehall Estate, medal of service, is not an estate to be reckoned with.
Later in this year, we'll be starting a massive training program to retrain our employees. And then those permanent employees who cannot go to or be observed or go to Albion and Blairmont Estates and their jobs are redundant will be paid severance once they have more than 1 year service. This part is very important to note. Severance is calculated using the last 12 months earnings. Hence the importance of employees working during the second crop of 2017 to maximize their earnings that will be used to generate their severance payment. So it's important that you come out for this crop, and the estate manager is also going to be telling you about that. I'd also like to just quickly wrap up with 2 more points, and that's one, it's important that you take off all of those canes in your cultivation for the second crop and maximize your earnings so that when the severance is calculated, it will be calculated based on the last 12 months earnings. So I'd like to now come to the community. After this community outreach, what happens? Who's going to be, I know that many of us would have seen GuySuCo's employees at 10 o'clock in the day, at 11 o'clock in the day, and we probably never thought that it was a part of our responsibility as residents in the community to encourage them to show up to work. And so now we're asking you to encourage our employees to show up to work. Even though the estate is going to be going out of sugar from the 31st of December, they still have a second crop that is going to be starting sometime this month. And so we're asking you, what we've developed is what we call a Friends of GuySuCo network. And we're asking those of you in the community who are communities who are interested in becoming a part of our Friends of GuySuCo network. And what we would like you to do is to, when you see our employees during the hours when they're supposed to be at work, encourage them to come out to work. We're going to be in touch with you. That's not all. We're going to be providing you with information that you can share in the community on how GuySuCo is. We say how GuySuCo is growing, because it's growing from here.
I want to know that if we're going to get the opportunity for us in the land as workers or outsiders who are not in the industry. And next one, I'd like to know that if we go to still work along the land and continue paying NIS and the taxes and etc. Thank you.
There's a task force, and mandated in this task force is the process of leasing land to employees. Rarely we would identify land for total sale in the company. There is some that is identified at LBI. From Oval go back to Cummins Lodge, that is out of production for quite some time now. But across the industry, we recognize that land is a resource, that is a scarce resource that has value, and it's preferable for the company to contain its resources and lease those resources and have output from them. So in the task force that is currently in study, we'll identify 5 acres for every employee that we're going to sell. And as we said earlier, the European Union funded study, which will come to the community and engage you into the various opportunity of cropping, intercropping, cooperative grouping, will so inform the company via a report at the end of that study who are the persons that are encourageable to be part of that cooperative and part of the grouping that will be releasing land from the company, and the crop or the cropping production, which will be determined by the government and the corporation, because they're going to lease you land to plant what we're not going to buy or what we can't accept as a product. So it's a big process that will see us engaging over the period through the European Union study, and then the company finally leasing the land to you.
So the part of the question where you ask about, will we work the land and pay taxes and NIS? Now, the reason for the leasing is you becoming an independent businessman. So you will be running your own business, but we will be buying your produce. So in terms of the paying the taxes and NIS, that will end up being your responsibility. Right? So it will no longer be GuySuCo responsibility, but your responsibility. Once we buy the produce from you, we pay you, you will have to go pay the taxes. And if you want to continue to pay NIS, which I would say continue to do that, because you'll get a benefit at reaching age 60, that will be your decision.
I'm from ECHO, the East Kanji Humanitarian Organization. My husband is a pensioner at the estate. I would like to know if they will continue to have receive their pension weekly. Also, for these fellow workers here, I don't know if they don't understand to ask the question. If a hard-working person working regular at the estate, and within this 6 month here to the 31st of December, if this person falls sick and can make that contribution, is there anything for that person? Because he's just fallen sick, he's just stay away from work, but because he's sick and he can't make this contribution, is there anything for that person?
After the 31st of December 2017, and when the Rose Hall estate goes out of sugar, remember there's still 50% of the employees will be going to Albion and Blairman. So we would still need to get them to come out and to go to those two estates. In addition to that, all of the other diversification areas that we're getting involved in, we will still need them to come out and to be involved. They will be maintaining the estates. Mr. GuySuCo said that a number of persons will be on the estates. They have to maintain the estates. So it's not that Rose Hall is closing down and about 1,900 employees will have nothing to do. That's not going to happen. As it relates to the children and the suicide and all of that, this is why I said we have what we call an employees assistance program, where we'll be working with the employees from these estates to provide emotional and other support. And that's why I'm saying to you that you're not in this alone. We're in this with you, and we'll be providing you with support.
As it is, once you're within employment of the company across the industry and you're sick, the workers are covered under either injury or sickness. So the Act also covers for contribution for the person that does not contribute for a sick period. So the Act is 3601 is very clear. And once you're on employment, the company will cover you for sickness benefit or accidental benefit.
Members of the head table, fellow interested sugar workers. Now, the estate manager has assured us that we have enough canes in the field to grind continuously until the end of the year. But what I'm curious about is to find out if the factory is in a mechanically sound position to take off the cane. That's one. The second question is, with respect to the diversification program that we have, most of the way that we're going, we had those things already diversified. My question is, what are we going to do now to ensure that we didn't do them to make it feasible this time around? Thank you.
I'd like to recognize Mr. Monroe, former engineer manager, GuySuCo. The factory, indeed, at this point in time, we're now completing our maintenance, and it will be sung, I can guarantee it will be sung for second crop 2017. I will admit that there were some major jobs that we would have liked to be done that could not have been done. And basically, it's our financial constraint that the company is facing and the investment required. But whatever we have done during this last maintenance and even the maintenance before, I can guarantee you the factory is more than sound and it will be in a position to take off our second crop 2017. As regards to the previous diversification program, that program did not actually fail. What happened with that program, it was not allowed to succeed, and there's a big difference. When the Bukotit company came in as a management team for GuySuCo, they had a mandate that instructed that they increase sugar production in GuySuCo.
What makes the diversification different now? Every feasibility study that informs us of these products will be a study that guarantees product sale or market sale of a product. So you won't find us be running around this country trying to sell the product that is in excess. So every product that we go into, the feasibility study have to inform that there's a guaranteed market for products. Secondly, when you look at land use and output for sugar, the output of one for sugar is far lesser than the output of any other product that you will diverse into. But sugar, which is the negative of sugar, is that the input or the financial input into land and production of sugar far more outreach any input if you go into dairy, beef, fish, or anything. So just to give a figure, for sugar, the output per a hectare is $1,700. And every diversification product that we identify has shown an output far outreaching than that value. And the input is far less.
Mr. Monroe, just to add a little bit more to what Mr. Griffith and Mr. Suku said, if you could recall, the same managers that or the same workers that we had doing sugar, they were also working in diversification. For example, Blairmont, the same guys who were doing sugar there, they were doing rice, they were doing the tilapia. However, the model now is somewhat different because those estates that are getting into diversification will only focus on diversification. So that is an additional or another plus for this project. So we have actual commitment on those estates that we're going to focus on diversification and not get distracted by our core business.
On July 25, the outreach will continue at Skellen Primary School, Blairmont Community Center on July 27, and Albion Community Center on July 31. Residents of these communities are urged to attend. This has been GuySuCo Roundup. Thank you for staying tuned and do join us again next week. I'm your host, GuySuCo. Goodbye.